Hello, grade 3. All right, so yesterday we learned about how to make predictions. So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's do a little bit of review, and then I'll tell you what your assignment is that you will have today and tomorrow to complete. So remember, predicting is what we think will happen next based on what we've already read. We say, I think this will happen because the book said this, or I think that this character will do this because he's done it so many times before. Like, we need to have evidence and clues. We're focusing on predictions this week. We'll talk about inferencing a little more next week. So remember, when we're making predictions, we're reading a story and asking ourselves questions. We're asking, what will happen next? What makes me think that? We're not just making up some random guess that doesn't make any sense. We're going to see what in the story or what we're reading tells us that this might happen, okay? And can I check to see if it's true? Now, for today's assignment, I'm going to be the one deciding if your prediction is true or not, okay? But generally, if you're reading a story, you'll be able to flip to the next page and find out if you were correct. So today, your job looks like this. There are two of them, okay? You're going to read this story. You're going to write, I predict that, and write what you think is going to happen next. And then you're going to try and give me 3 clues that helped you decide that. So 3 things from the story that made you think that that's what's going to happen. So I'll read this to you. It's called Learning to Fly. Remember, sometimes we can use the title as a clue as well. So keep that in mind if that works and if that applies here. It says, Katie was such a cute little caterpillar. She spent her days crawling along the bright green leaves in the garden, munching and crunching as she went. One day, Katie decided it was time for a change. So she wove a cocoon around herself and she went to sleep. When she woke up, she had become a beautiful butterfly. But there was one big problem. Katie didn't know how to fly. She had never had wings before and she didn't know how to use them. But she had to learn. So she took a step and she started to flap her wings. So what do you predict will happen next? What do you think is going to happen next? You're going to write, I predict that this will happen, or I predict, and then what you think will happen. And then you're going to try and give me 3 clues from the story that made you think that, okay? Try for 3. That would be the best, okay? 2, if you can only come up with 2, that's okay, but try and aim for 3. So if you'd like, you can pause and you can do this now, since you've just listened to me read the story, and then we can move on to the next one. So this one is called Don't Pat the Spider. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to read it, we're going to predict what we think will happen next, and then give clues from the story that make us think that. And you're going to, once again, aim to give me 3, okay? It's called Don't Pat the Spider. It says, Jimmy was a naughty little boy. He never listened to anyone. He didn't listen to his parents. He didn't listen to his teachers, and he certainly didn't listen to his friends. No one could tell Jimmy what to do. His parents told him, don't ride your bike without a helmet. So Jimmy went for a ride without his helmet. He fell off his bike and a huge lump formed on his head. His teachers told him, don't run on the concrete. So Jimmy ran on the concrete. He fell over and scraped his hands and knees. His friends told him, don't pat that spider. What do you think will happen next? And try to give me 3 reasons from the story that you think, that make you think that that's what's going to happen. Okay, so these are your pages. I have it so that you can print it out, or you can just write it down in your home learning book or on a piece of paper. You have today to work on this, and you have tomorrow to work on this. Remember to make your best guess. So if I'm reading about this, I'm not going to say that I think Jimmy discovered a brand new dinosaur, because that has nothing to do with the story, right? We want to talk about what will happen next in the story that makes the most sense, okay? Have fun!